You know, guys, I was working on a couple of new video ideas, scripting some stuff out. I came across a story today that has really disturbed me. I've been really disturbed for the last several months about this whole culture on YouTube of channels that exist purely to tear other channels down. Channels that exist to prey on popular YouTubers, to prey on their popularity, to prey on their name, to make a name for themselves as tearing down others. And whether it's, channels that talk about popular TV shows, tearing them down, calling them garbage, insulting actors and actresses, talking about social justice issues, or whether it's channels that talk about, the gaming greats, the guys in our culture like Metal Jesus, Immortal John Hancock, beat 'em ups, these guys that create a culture for us, and channels exist to just tear them apart. There was a story today about John Hancock having issued a copyright strike against Smash JT. Probably not the best way to handle criticism. But at some point, you reach a point as someone like John Hancock, who's putting out amazing content every week. You reach a point where you gotta wonder why you're even doing it, because you're just getting absolutely torn apart in the community. These guys like Smash JT, he's not that bad of a guy, but I've gone through his channel, and literally every one of his videos is reacting to somebody else's video. And what's the point of even having that channel? Like, what are you hoping to accomplish? Like, people can figure these things out for themselves. If you like John Hancock, subscribe to John Hancock. If you don't like John Hancock, don't subscribe to John Hancock. I personally think he is, he's a hero in our community. He stands up for us. He shows us things that we will probably never see. He does things for us that we could never do on our own. I don't know, it really irks me to see these guys that are the pillars of our community just get torn down. They shouldn't have to deal with this kind of stuff. These channels that just exist to destroy other people's channels. It's horrible. I don't know what to say. So I just want to say something good about these guys to counter all the bad. I want to say something about my heroes, about the guys that have made me passionate about video game collecting. Metal Jesus rocks. He's the guy that got me into watching YouTube videos. I was not really a fan of YouTube. All the kids around me were all watching YouTube, and I was just like, meh, until I discovered his channel. And I was like, wow, this guy is talking about exactly what I want to hear. And I've pretty much watched every one of his videos now. I go through greatest hits, top 10 lists, hidden gems videos, and man, that stuff is so right on. You go to a video game store the next day and you're like, wow, I just saw that on a Metal Jesus video. I'm gonna buy it. I think it's great for the community to have guys like Metal Jesus out there that are showing us what games are great and what games are crap. It gives us a perspective. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of games for us to choose from. There are, millions of dollars that could be put into a video game collection if you had the money. But do you really want to buy, unless you're going for a complete collection on a particular console, do you really want to spend money on garbage games just because they might look neat on the cover? It's fantastic to have these hidden gems videos, and it's fantastic to have these, starting out collecting for a specific console, 10 things you need to know, It's fantastic because not all of us are at the level of Metal Jesus where we've already collected everything and we already know what's good and what's bad. A lot of us are just starting out with maybe a PS3 or a PS4 and we want to get into another console, something a little bit more retro. A lot of us want to know what's cool to collect for on original Xbox, or what's cool to collect for on PS1 or PS2, or maybe a TurboGrafx or something more obscure. We need this kind of content, and these guys are icons in the community because they are giving us something that we need, and they are entertaining us at the same time. John Hancock is fantastic because why? He has put in the legwork for 20 plus years doing this collecting. He's got an amazing collection. He's got a ton of knowledge about his collection, and he can show us things that nobody else can. Who else has a complete collection of, Sega Saturn that they can show us face out? I mean, I'm sure there's people out there that do. But he's got, 23, 25 complete collections more? It's amazing to be able to see the artwork on every game in a system. A lot of these games people have never seen before because they're so rare and uncommon. Guys like beat 'em ups, beat 'em ups, I started watching him because my son was watching him. When I first started watching him, I thought he was kind of immature and kind of targeted to a younger audience. But I came to love that guy because he is so real. Maybe he's not real. People say that he's fake. All these detractor channels say that he's fake. I think there's a certain amount of performance in any one of these videos. But that guy bears his soul for the things that he cares about. Some of his charity videos where he sits down and talks about his past, his struggles with depression, things like that, he makes himself so real that I want to relate to him. And when he recommends a game, or when he recommends a game system, or talks about games from his past, I am really interested because I really connect with this guy. I want to know more about him, and I want to know more about the things that he likes. That brings me to guys like Happy Console Gamer. Again, that guy, he just sits in front of a camera and talks about the things that he loves. And man, if that's not the most interesting thing in the world, you know what? I didn't come from the same kind of background that he did. I didn't have every video game system when it came out on release day in the 80s and the 90s. Sure, I'm 41 years old. I was around for the Atari 2600. I was around for the Commodore 64. I was there, but I didn't have that stuff. My friends did. So it is really awesome to hear stories from Happy Console Gamer about what it was like to be boots on the ground at the release of Phantasy Star 1. To hear about him playing the first Ys, some of these games that are just iconic, and to find out why these games are important 40 years later. Because it's pretty easy to walk into a video game store and say, okay, that game's expensive, it must have been good. But when you hear why a game is well thought of, why it was influential at the time, it gives you some context when you're, do I want to go back and play that game? It's pretty, retro now. Am I even going to enjoy it? But when you realize how important something is to somebody, when somebody bears their soul and tells their story and their history of why something was so important to them, it gives you a reason to go back and try some of these games and see if it has the same effect on you. That's really the purpose of those videos. These guys have created a culture, whether it's RGT85 with his constant video game news. I can count on that guy to tell me about stuff the second it comes out. I'm gonna know about a new video game release, I'm gonna know about a new scandal, I'm gonna know about anything in the video game market immediately from him. I can count on these guys time and time and time again. Every day I can sit down in front of YouTube for a half an hour or an hour, and I can get educated on the things that I love. I learned thanks to Metal Jesus and Kelsey Lewin, that I would love the 3DS library. It got me to buy into the 3DS library. I bought a 2DS. You know, the library is fantastic, but the 2DS, not my cup of tea. Then I went out and bought a 3DS XL. This device is fantastic, and had I listened to Kelsey in the first place, who recommended this as the best device you could get, I would have saved myself $100. I guess it's good to learn a lesson, but you know, these guys serve a purpose. You gotta understand, these people serve a purpose in the community. They help us determine what we're going to buy and when, and they give us a direction in our collections. A lot of us, when we start collecting, excuse me, we're collecting scattershot. We're collecting based on what's cheap. We're collecting based on maybe cover art that interests us, or we're collecting based on nostalgia. But often those things let us down. And when you can go and watch 10 or 20 or 30 videos and get a feeling for a console of what's good and what's bad, that's going to save you money, time, and hassle in your collecting habits. I just want to say some positive things about people that I have grown quite fond of. I want to put some positivity out into the community, because there are so many channels that are tearing down these people, that are making their lives miserable. And you know what? It's all jealousy. People are jealous because John Hancock or Metal Jesus get free games donated to their channel, or they're making a living doing something they love. And you know what? People are genuinely jealous that they can't make a living doing something that they love. And you know what? If you put your passion into anything, it will eventually pan out. So just to conclude, guys, I'm struggling with my words here. These guys, these icons, these pillars of our gaming community, guys like Metal Jesus, guys like Beat 'em Ups, guys like Happy Console Gamer, Scott the Waz, these guys are creating content specifically for us. You can't get this kind of content on TV. And you know what? The actors, the directors, the writers on a Hollywood show, they're all making tens of thousands of dollars for every episode that they do. For every hour that they entertain us, they're getting tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars. These guys on YouTube, they might be making a couple $1,000s a month if they've got 200,000 or 300,000 subscribers. They might be making a few free video games here and there. You know, I mean, sometimes even I get a little jealous when I watch, Woodhawker do one of his post office box videos, and he's showing all the incredible things that people are sending him for free. But you know what? We live in a capitalist society, and if somebody wants to send them something for free, that's on them. And, you know, if somebody sends me something for free, I'm under no obligation to do anything specific with that. I can keep it, I can give it away, I can sell it. It was given to me for free. I'm not under any particular obligation, and neither are they. John Hancock has repeatedly talked about doing a museum, but I've watched just about every one of his videos, and he has never made a commitment to a particular date to start a museum, and he has never specifically asked for a donation, not even once. Not even once has he said, please give me your free stuff for the museum. People have been giving him free stuff, and that's wonderful, and people have been giving him deals on stuff. But I believe him when he says that most of the stuff in his collection he has bought with his own money. And I think that if he ever starts a museum, that's wonderful, but he is under no obligation to do so. He has not made any express claims that any of those donations will be in a museum. That might be a misunderstanding, that might be something that he hasn't communicated all that well, But you know what? At the end of the day, he is under no obligation to do anything other than create wonderful content for you and I to consume. And if he gets a few free games, or if he makes a couple $1,000s a month from YouTube ads, or Patreon, he deserves that. Because you know what? I am just as entertained by watching 3 or 4 15-minute YouTube videos as I am by watching Stranger Things, or Game of Thrones, or anything else that's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. So give these guys a little credit. Stop trying to tear them down. Let them do their thing. Because if we push these guys out of the space that they're in, we are not going to have this content anymore. You know what? Just stay classy, guys.